Hello, everybody. I have a wonderful, wonderful interview today with a person who, as soon as I met her, was like, oh, instant connection and friendship. So, Erika Muralidhar has Health E Wellness, and she's a registered nurse, integrative health coach, certified neurolinguistic programming therapist, aromatherapy specialist, Reiki practitioner, and holder of a master's in health administration. She works virtually with clients one-on-one to guide them through life transformations. Combining both Western and Eastern approaches, she helps clients clarify their health goals, break through limiting beliefs, set realistic, sustainable plans, and stay accountable on their journey to lasting change. So if any of you know me over any time, you know that so much of that is consistent with things that I believe and work with. So welcome, Erika.
Thank you so much for having me today, Sandra. I'm super excited to be here and honored to be, again, having a friendship like you and kind of going through this healing journey together. It's amazing.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are? Short.
Yeah, sure. That's the elevator pitch. So I started off as a registered nurse at the bedside. I think through sort of my own journey, started seeing some not problems, but some things that I would like to change in healthcare. And so I started looking a little bit more holistically to see if there was other avenues in which patients can kind of take a little bit more empowerment on their side and be a little bit more preventative. And through that journey, I've learned a lot about Reiki, aromatherapy, NLP, and kind of went backwards into medicine and decided that this was better served for me to be a health coach so I can actually work one-on-one with clients and see them actually transform their goals. I think being in the nurse, I was kind of scheduled into something very specific, and I'm kind of a little bit of a rule breaker. So I like the flexibility of being able to really help people out and not just have that 15-minute consultation that nursing gave me. So that's kind of the reason of my why. And it took a little bit of a journey to get here, but I'm very happy to be here and happy to be supporting of clients this way.
Again, for those of you watching, this is something that Erika and I really agree on, that it takes more than the little bit of time that the medical system gives you to really connect with people. And the topic that we decided to discuss today is something that so many people have issues with, and they really don't address it adequately. So, Erika, why don't you go ahead and get started with that?
Yeah, so today we're talking a little bit about blood sugar. And as I said to you, Sandra, I think that it is like the foundation of health because it is something that a lot of people don't really understand enough about it. And once you do, the power that it can change from a healthy perspective and make you feel better throughout the day is absolutely incredible. And a lot of it is simple things. And I think that's the part that I love about it is that it's not this concept that is very challenging to understand. It's just that we don't get taught it because there's not someone to sit there and teach it. So I'm really excited to kind of jump into it. And I think when people think about blood sugar, they usually think about diabetics or someone who's struggling with high glucose. And to be honest with you, that is only a subset of individuals and clients. Most people actually don't balance their blood sugar. And you can tell very easily if you are someone who gets that afternoon crash or has a craving about 2 hours after eating, that usually indicates that you actually are not balancing your blood sugar as well as you could. And blood sugar is essentially glucose. And if we look at glucose is our energy system for our body. So our body needs this energy. It's just trying to maintain a consistent energy instead of a spike. And for those of you who don't know a lot about this, I can quickly just explain how this works mechanically in the body. So when you eat food, your body starts to digest it and break it down into various cells. And the breakdown creates that energy, creates that glucose. And essentially, the quicker that your body is able to break down that food, the quicker that the glucose will spike, or you'll get a sort of this high energy concentration in your blood sugar and in your system. And with that high spike, your body then naturally will sort of curve across the end and then kind of come down. But if you raise very quickly and your body curves the spike down, it actually ends up dipping a bit. And that dip is usually that crash, or that sort of like malaise, like kind of like groggy feeling that you get in the afternoon. That's that dip that you're getting, which means that you brought your blood sugar up a little bit too high, a little bit too fast for your body. So it broke down the food that you're eating a little bit too fast. So it kind of had this rebound effect of this like lower blood sugar, which is usually an indication of being tired, feeling a little groggy, or even just like craving more carbs, because again, your body is a system. If it's out of balance, it's going to try and bring it back to balance. And so it always naturally will want a little bit more energy if it's feeling tired. So that's kind of like the basics of it. And what everyone is looking for when you're looking to balance your blood sugar is really a consistent energy. So almost this gradual climb and plateau feature that comes back down pretty naturally. That is what we're actually all looking to have in a day-to-day. Oh, Sandra, I think you are muted, sadly.
So for the people watching, tell them what difference it's going to make in their experience balancing their blood sugar. Because really, you and I believe this is really the number one thing that people can do to take control of their health. But what's their experience going to be?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I like to tell clients that once you figure out how to balance your blood sugar, you can feel more energized. So you will have more consistent energy throughout the day. You won't feel like you need an afternoon nap. And that 3 p.m. coffee that I know majority of people that I talk to, especially that work a lot of corporate jobs, because stress, we'll get into it, but stress is a big factor in the reason why your blood sugar can kind of get a little bit out of whack. But that 3 p.m. coffee, you'll no longer actually feel like you need, and you can kind of do everything and accomplish all your goals more effectively with more energy, and overall just feel like your brain is working, because your brain runs on glucose. So if you're able to balance out your glucose, your brain will have a consistent energy source. So you can feel like you have clearer thoughts, you have more sustainable problem solving, and you can actually go through your day with honestly, just like an ideal mind and body energy level, which is what we all really want.
Well, you won't have to snack all of the time.
Oh,
no. Be hungry, thinking about food, so many things.
Yeah. And for people who are trying to sustain or maintain weight or lose weight, blood sugar is usually the first thing, because a lot of the empty calories that we end up intaking are through the snacking.
Yeah. Huge impacts of these things. So why don't you tell us some lifestyle decisions that can really affect this?
Yeah. So something that I kind of like to talk about before going into it is sort of this misconception of what blood sugar can be. And people usually think that when you're trying to balance blood sugar, you're trying to eat less, or that you should avoid carbs. And I just want to put this out there. Carbs are not something you should avoid at all. I actually am a huge carb lover. And the reason is that I think the misconception is that carbs are all created equal, and they're not. Because if you think about vegetables and you think about these like fibrous intakes we have, like the fruits and vegetables that have a ton of fiber in them, those are just super important for balancing blood sugar, and they are carbs. So it's not that all carbs are created equal or created the enemy, but each carb has a different sort of effect on our glucose level. And so that's the first thing I want to talk about before I got to get into these lifestyle changes, because it's something like that people really need to understand. So when we think about balancing blood sugar, the thing that I always say is you're trying to slow your body's digestive system. So going back to what I was saying in the beginning, the faster that your body is able to digest food, the quicker that you're going to have an increase in glucose, because it's eating up that food really fast. So the amount that you can slow almost the digestion down is really the root of what we're trying to do when we're balancing blood sugar. because if you can slow it down, you'll get that nice plateau curve that will last you 3 hours. You'll come back down, and then you'll be ready for your next meal, and you'll avoid all those snacking in between. And so what I like to tell people to do is there's a few things to first look out for to slowing your digestive system. The first is fiber. Fiber is, I know if you're in the health and wellness field or, anywhere around it, you'll always hear about fiber and the importance of it because of your gut health. And yes, that is true. Fiber likes to feed our mini gut microbiome and really help it, be healthy and have all the good gut bacteria, but it also helps with our gastric emptying and that digestion that we're looking for. So fiber actually acts like a coating around your stomach. So when your body is trying to break down food, it will break down the fiber first, and fiber takes a lot longer for our body to break down. So in the order of sort of priority, our body will start with the fiber, then move to, protein, fats, and then carbohydrates last, because that is the quickest energy source. So it will kind of do the hardest ones first and then go to the easiest ones. And when your body is doing that, it's slowing down the digestive system, because fiber, protein, and fat take longer for your body to almost eat and for it to create this energy source. So it's slowing down that gastric emptying. And that's really what we want to do. So things that can affect it are things like exercise, things like stress and cortisol and sleep. And those are sort of the big buckets that I talk to clients about. And the reason being is, going back to sort of what we were saying, is the corporate world, where sometimes, or, just work in general, where people have that fight or flight. The problem with modern society is, regardless of what the trigger is, if you're putting your body into a fight or flight, high cortisol level, it doesn't know that it's just an email that maybe upset you, or just a meeting that maybe upset you, or, your kids did something that you're like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted to happen. Your body doesn't know. All it knows is that you are going into a fight or flight and stress mode because your cortisol is ramping up. When our cortisol ramps, it leads to something called insulin resistance, which means that essentially when your body, going back to the concept of eating, so when your body is breaking down this glucose, your body naturally is going to it's going to release insulin, and insulin is located in your pancreas. When it releases insulin's job essentially is to move the glucose, that energy source, from your blood, now that it's in there after digestion, and pull it into cells. That's all it does. It just it kind of encapsulates the glucose and brings it into cells. And the reason being is that it doesn't want that high blood sugar spike. So it's actually doing what the body's naturally supposed to be doing. It's removing some glucose from your bloodstream and pulling it into cells. But when you have high cortisol, what ends up happening is that it actually, because you're creating this fight and flight mode, your body is signaling, hey, we need more energy. Actually, we are going to be attacked now. We need to have more energy in our system. And so even if you just ate a meal, if you're going into that stress hormone, your body will signal, we need more, we need more, we need more. So it has your liver actually release glucose into your system. So picture this, you just ate your meal, right? Your body's eating its food up. It's having a little bit of a little graze of an increased glucose level, because you're eating food to give it energy. And then you get an email that you're like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted. I'm now stressed out. Someone told me that I had this project due that I didn't realize it was due today. And now I'm feeling very tense and overwhelmed. Even though you have technically enough energy to deal with it, your body doesn't recognize that. Your body will stop digestion totally and say, hey, liver, wake up, we need glucose. So the liver will then bring in this glucose spike. And so you're going to skyrocket. So now your body is like, all right, we're just going to give you all the energy in the world because we're under attack. And it's natural. It's very cool that your body does it. But again, it's all about balancing this out. So it will spike it up. And then your pancreas, because insulin is the response always to bringing those glucose from the bloodstream into cells so it can be used. So it's like, okay, we're going to now bring these glucose into our cells so we can use it in, defending ourselves because it's really the muscles that need the glucose. And so the more that it works to do that, so your pancreas then is releasing extra insulin because your liver is releasing extra glucose, and you're in this kind of like push and pull. And if it's sustained over long periods of time, your cells actually will stop listening to insulin. So it'll become insulin resistance. So your cells will actually not be able to bring that glucose into your body. So you'll just have this increased surge of glucose running around in your bloodstream, not able to go into muscles, not able to go into cells because your body just got used to it and it no longer wants to respond. And that's where we get into problems with high blood sugar for long periods of times. It's where diabetes sometimes can come in, and honestly, just being able to mismanage your blood sugar level. And so cortisol, sorry, go ahead. I know it's a lot of information.
So, audience, okay, if you find this is really important to you, I'm going to recommend you go back and you listen to this again, maybe a couple of times, because what Erika is saying is really important. I want you to, instead of all those details, tell me a little bit about why our bodies are doing this and how our bodies are not really designed for the world that we're living in.
Yeah.
Which is why we have this mismatch.
Yeah. And our bodies are doing it honestly because, as I said, when you go into these fight and flight modes, which I think are happening more and more often as the modern world, because we are more attached to each other, more attached to technology. There's more stress. Like, honestly, our world is just very stressed out. It is. And I live in New York City, so I see the stress. The more you have this sort of fight and flight, and as I said, your body this is natural. So if we think way, way back, the reason why your body is doing this is because usually when you have this cortisol fight and flight, it's because a bear or an attacker is coming into your village, or
Real
there's
danger.
like real life danger. Your life is in danger. And so when that happens, your body, it needs energy to get you out of that situation. It needs to provide your muscles with the support, your lungs, your brain, and your heart to get you away from danger and to get you into a safer spot. And when it does that, it diverts. So your body is all about trying to protect itself. And this is a protective mechanism that it naturally will do. So instead of digestion is like a luxury when you get into fight and flight, it's a luxury to have. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a luxury because if you're looking at something facing danger and digestion, it's fine. We can digest it later. But it's like we'll do this later. Like
If
right
you're
now,
not going to be alive an hour from now,
it
then
doesn't
it doesn't
matter.
matter if you've digested your food.
Exactly. So it's like, you know what? We're gonna pause on that one, and it's naturally going to divert it. And so the hard part now is that we are still responding to these triggers the same way we would if it's a life or death situation. And so your body is naturally doing the same thing that it did then.
And it never ends.
No, not unless you are able to stop it. And that's where like mental well-being is so important. I know Sandra and I have talked about this countless amounts, but like the concept of being able to relax your body and being able to respond to those once triggers with a more parasympathetic, more calm body and mind will better serve you in the long run with all over wellness, especially blood sugar, honestly.
Well, and balancing blood sugar really is the key to everything when it comes to health. So many things happen that aren't what we want, contributed to by imbalanced blood sugar.
Of course. I mean, I think a lot of people, one of the biggest things that people come for me for is undesired weight gain, or, something that's a little bit not what they wanted, or they're feeling they feel bad in their clothes. And usually it's because they have a mismanaged blood sugar or they have high stress levels, because it's all interconnected. Like the body is all connected in that sense. So the more cortisol you have, sometimes the more fat around your stomach and your abdomen that you have, And with that also hurts your blood sugar, also hurts your ability to balance your blood sugar out. So it's this constant, almost, I like to say, like pendulum that we are swinging in, and you kind of need to continue to have as close to balance as you can, through all aspects, because everything is connected. Your mind is connected to your brain is connected to your body, and it kind of all interacts with each other. And if something is out of whack, the entire system is kind of out of whack. So you need a total system alignment for it to really work. And if you do balance your blood sugar, if you are able to prioritize making sure that your body is slowing the digestion, it's like step number one to being able to create this more relaxed mindset. Because when you're in digestion mode, you're in your parasympathetic, you're in your calm mode. And that's where we all want to live, in this like calm, rest and digest mode, for your body to be able to actually go through the day with sustainable energy.
Yeah. And let's, just mention like a list of consequences. If you don't, it's not just diabetes, it's also heart disease and, dementia and autoimmune conditions and cancer, all of these things that we all want to avoid. If you don't take care of your blood sugar, over time, you get all these other things.
Yeah, because it creates, as I said, it creates a mismatch in your blood sugar. It creates a mismatch in your weight usually, and that can be a sign of leading you to other diseases. It creates, this surge of your brain being able to have with dementia. As I said, your brain runs on glucose. It actually runs on sugar, which is pretty wild to think about, that most people might not know. But if you're consistently fluctuating your sugar levels, your brain isn't going to be able to function, because it doesn't have the energy, sustainable energy for it to actually process what you're asking it to process, for it to remember things that you're asking it to remember, because it's like running on empty. You can't run your car if there's no gas in it. And you need gas in your brain to be able to run the programs that you're actually asking it to do. So, and I don't know if you've ever heard the term hangry, but like that's something that people have also come to, like, I get so angry, I get so frustrated when I haven't eaten. I'm like, it's literally because you're asking your body to do something without any energy source. So you're trying to push your car up a hill by yourself with like a broken leg.
Yeah. So tell us how people can connect with you if they realize, oh my gosh, I need to do something about this. How can they connect with you and hear more?
Yeah, I could talk about this for hours. So if you are very interested in it, I'm a very in the weeds person. So the way you can connect with me is you can email me, letter E, like Erica, health E by Erica at gmail.com. Happy to do an email. I also do 15-minute free consultations if this is something that you're super interested in, or if something resonated with you and you'd like to learn more about how I work with clients. It's a great way for us to connect. It's free. And I would love to chat. Or you can find me on Instagram with healthy_wellness. I can leave all this in the comments. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to start a conversation. My entire goal is to let people understand how to work their body in the best they can.
Now, give us some real specific action steps that people can take to help balance their blood sugar.
Yeah. All right. This is the whole point, right? Talk for hours about how it works. Not everyone cares, but how do you actually do it? And there are a few simple steps that I think that everyone could probably take honestly today, and it will help. The first one, as I said, fiber. When I think of meals, I think of this concept of big food groups, right? We've got the protein, carbs, and fats, and fiber. Those are like my main four that I focus on. When you eat a meal, any meal, snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it is, dessert, I want you to start to first think about what you're actually eating. So if you have a fiber on your plate, fiber is fruits and vegetables. Great. That's step one. Make sure there's some sort of fiber. Step two is to make sure there's some sort of protein or fat. So if you are like protein could be, plant protein, animal protein, whatever it is that your diet allows you, make sure that there's some concept of that, or nuts. The next thing is some sort of good fat. So that's good oils, good nuts, good seeds. That is another priority. And then the last thing you should think about is a simple carb. So simple carbs could be anywhere from, you know, rice to bread to I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know why I'm blanking, but anything that is like a very easy digestible carb for your body, that should be the last thing that you consider. So when you're looking at a plate, if you are going to eat a carbohydrate, if you're going to eat a piece of bread, like toast in the morning, people love toast in the morning. That's great. Have your toast. But I would encourage you to put some sort of peanut butter, some sort of protein, some sort of egg, yogurt, whatever it is on that toast, because the addition of protein and fat and fiber to your carbohydrate will create this slowing gastric emptying, create this slowing of your body's digestive system. And that's all we want. So I always say you need to buddy up your carb. Make sure it has a friend alongside of it to really help it sort of slow down. And essentially it's just creating a weight on your system to slow down.
You won't have to eat so soon.
No, you won't. You will be fuller for much longer. You'll have more sustainable energy. You will feel better, and you'll honestly be able to perform at what you're desiring to do. Because most people, when they want that carb, or they're craving something, it's because your body is literally saying, I need more energy. And so if you give it more energy on the front end, you'll be able to sustain it throughout the entire day more smoothly. And the rule of thumb I always tell patients or clients is, if that first meal that you have can have 30 grams of protein, I know that sounds like a lot. It's really not when you break it down. But if you could try and get close to 30 grams of protein, that's like, I think, a cup and a half of Greek yogurt. That is the best way to start your day, is making sure you have enough protein, because that will give you the foundation for the rest of the day. So that's the easiest thing to think about, is making sure that you have enough protein to start. And anytime that you eat a meal, making sure that you're incorporating, especially if you're craving a carb, like a pastry or, a really yummy piece of chocolate, that's fine. Listen, I do it too. It's all okay. Just make sure you're eating something else with it. Make sure you're eating a fat or a protein with it, and that will give or a fiber, and that will give your body the ability to actually absorb that energy and make it sustainable throughout the rest of the day.
Thank you, Erika. It's been wonderful, educational. So all of you, if you found this valuable, I really do encourage you to watch this again, because Erika dropped tons of information that can help you understand why these things matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra.
The information that she gave us will be in the comments.